Charbel, Habor. I work in the Department of Regulatory Affairs. In all pharmaceutical industries, there's a department that deals with health authorities to register the drug, to show that the drug is safe and it works, it's efficacious. And also this discipline, this functional area, ensures that the drug development is compliant with regulations. It's a small environment, it's a small company, and there's a lot of, it's very collegial, and it's a very stimulating environment. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons, we can talk, maybe discuss this later on, this is one of the reasons why, that attracted me to PTC, is the quality of the people here. In terms of technically, they're very, great, excellent technical skills. And also, they're very friendly, again, very collegial. So it's a very nice environment to be in, to work in. And also, the drugs that you're working on, they can make a great impact in the life of patients that need them. I have a PhD in biomolecular engineering, and also I have a master's in public health. So I was very fortunate. When I was still in grad school, we organized a symposium to kind of promote dialogue between industry. And I gave a presentation at that symposium, and one person from my previous former company, they liked what I presented on. They offered me a job. So this is how I made, I transitioned from academia to industry. And in this industry, I started first in basic research. In research, I was working on the development of a vaccine against HIV. And so I was doing research initially. And then this is where I got into public health. I was interested in public health. And at some point, and I think this is also, maybe can be a good advice to, students or to people who are contemplating what to do, what to do next, is, I had a mentor. So it's very good to have a mentor. I think it's very important to have a mentor in, whether you're a student, whether you're, a student, I think it's going to be an advisor. In industry, they call them mentor. So this mentor asked me, Charbel, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do in the next 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years? So this made me, start to, soul search. What I want to do next. Then, I mentioned I was interested in public health, so I decided to get into public health. So I pursued a degree, I got a master's in public health. And then I made the transition into regulatory affairs, because I thought this was the closest thing to public health. And this is where I am right now. Regulatory affairs consist of, has 3 components. It's like a 3-legged stool. I think this is, we like here to use this term, 3-legged stool. So 3-legged stool. One of them is CMC. CMC is chemistry, manufacturing, and control. This is the area that ensures that the drug is manufactured under CGMP. CGMP is current good manufacturing practices that ensures that the drug is pure, is safe, it's reproducible when you make it. So this is the CGMP component. So this is part 1 is CMC. Another one is non-clinical. Non-clinical aspect or non-clinical development consists of doing the experiment in animals and maybe in vitro, in the lab, to show that the drug is safe enough to give it to humans. So this is before we move to clinical trials. So the third element is, clinical development. And for clinical development, this is when you test the drug in humans to see whether it's safe and it works. So regulatory affairs is organized in usually two areas. CMC and the 2 non-clinical and clinical are lumped together. So a typical career path in regulatory affairs can be like for CMC, people who worked in manufacturing, so they know the nitty-gritty details of all the issues associated with manufacturing a drug. They go into CMC regulatory affairs. For the non-clinical and clinical development, this is a little bit more it's not as defined as CMC. So you can see people there who are physicians, there are people who are toxicologists, and people who have some experience with drug development. I mean, just the different aspect of drug development. I was in basic research, and I ended up now in the clinical and non-clinical aspect of regulatory affairs. So the reality was like beyond my expectations. I loved it. The reason when I was in the lab, I mean, I was focused on my experiments. So I go in depth in one particular area. This position in regulatory affairs gave me, the possibility to be exposed to all aspects of drug development, from basic research, going through the non-clinical development, when you do testing in animals, going to the clinical development, and also being exposed to all the aspects of manufacturing, how the drug is made and what are the challenges in making a drug under, again, cGMP. So I got to see the drug development. I mean, there are the basic skills. You have to have some sort of to know the fundamentals of chemistry and biology. In regulatory affairs, we need to know a little bit about, to be conversant at least on statistical issues, to know a little bit in biostatistics, to know a little bit, to have an idea of what are the, toxicology, what are the toxicological issues. To know about the designs of clinical trials, and again, all the issues associated with designing a clinical trial, inclusion, exclusion criteria, what type of design, is it blinded, randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled. So we have to be, and there are courses in university, I don't know if they teach them now in high school, about how to conduct clinical trials and how to design clinical trials. We have to know, again, chemistry and biology. And these are the kind of hard skills. I mean, these are the very well defined. And there are soft skills. For example, negotiation skills, because when we deal with agencies, we have to negotiate. And it's not like bargaining, where you go to a car dealer and trying to negotiate to get a great price on a car. It's more to have a long-term relationship with the regulatory agencies and how we can have always like a win-win situation. Knowing how to give presentations. So again, these are some of the soft skills, presentation skills, having good writing skills. So these are some of the soft skills, and I told you about the hardcore skills. And right now, there are some colleges that are teaching this science, the science of, it's a new emerging field, the science of regulatory affairs. There was no aha moment. I mean, actually, when I was interviewing at my first job, I mean, I was very honest and very transparent with them. I was not looking for a job back then. It just happened serendipitously. I mean, I was offered, why don't you come for an interview? The aha moment came when I was told that I'm going to be working on an HIV vaccine. And just because, in grad school, maybe, 10, 15 years ago, this was a very hot issue. And I knew some people who are affected, by this disease. So this was a kind of an affirmation that I'm making the right decision. This is what made this job, it was not really a job. It was more like a mission. It was a personal mission that, and I did not consider it I did not consider it a job. I was more, and this, I was more looking at this as again, something very personal. And this is what initially, when I made this transition to, a corporate, to a corporation, this is what bothered me a little bit in the beginning, where not everyone had the same attitude toward their job, where they looked this as a job from 9 to 5, and they had deadlines, and nobody looked at the human. I mean, or they forgot. After a while, they forgot the human aspect of the, why we're developing these drugs in the first place.